Trump brings back the Gestapo, the EPA reverses course, and workers' rights are in jeopardy. My name is Jovan Bradley, and this is the Weekly Dump. Welcome to the Weekly Dump, your number 2 source for number 1 news. It is Sunday, August 3rd, and we are back here in Studio B to bring you more of what you crave, that sweet, sweet leftist indoctrination. Now, we are back. We have me, we have producer Steve, we have technical director Chris, we have DP, wait, was it DP or DOP? DOP Jonathan. We're back in studio. I hope you guys are excited because we're here for another show. It's been another week. How have you been? I've been great. I can't see what you're saying, but I assume you're responding to your devices going, Jovan, I've been wonderful. Thank you for asking. Now, just a reminder, you will have the ability to call into the show. You can argue with me. You can discuss literally any of the topics we're talking about today. The call-in lines, they are going to open up about 10 minutes or so before we begin taking calls. So if you disagree with anything, remember, just call in and tell me. It's the best way to do it. The call-in line is right here, 914-268-6224. That number again is 914-268-6224. We will let you know when call-in lines are open. Call in if you disagree with the things I'm saying, because I'm going to say a lot. I might also say a little, but I'm mostly going to say a lot. Also, just a reminder that we are monitoring what you guys are saying in chat, so super chats are appreciated but never required. But thank you if you want to donate to help continue the show. We have a lot to do today. There's a lot to go over. We're going to go over news. We're going to do Jovan's thoughts, where I'm going to tell you my thoughts on what's happening before we get into like the primary debate rhetoric. We have discussions. It's going to be a good show. Again, permanent home, Studio B. Like, this is our home right here. Set, beautifully decorated by yours truly. I found that little plane in Home Goods and was like, it doesn't have anything to do with our show, but I love a little plane. So I was like, let's do a little plane. So just a reminder, again, call-in lines will open about 10 minutes before the show, before the debate portion of the show starts. Really call me if you disagree, okay? I would love for a MAGA to defend some of the stuff we're going to talk about, because some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, I don't know how you defend what Trump is doing, but you know what? With that being said, let's get right into it. The Trump White House just officially announced their governing strategy, and it's... Wait, okay, hold on. Yes? It's dank memes, everybody. It's dank memes. The official White House account posted this slop on X and Meta and stated in another post, quote, "Nowhere in the Constitution does it say we can't post banger memes. Healthcare? Nah. Infrastructure? Pass. The Epstein files? Baby, you wish. Instead, let's dog whistle white supremacy in a post where we share a picture that literally depicts the ethnic cleansing of indigenous tribes. Boy howdy, does our government just love getting rid of brown people." Speaking of getting rid of brown people, the Department of Homeland Security just launched Defend the Homeland, a recruitment campaign aimed at increasing the number of ICE officers. This recruitment comes with Nazi-style propaganda posters, unlimited overtime, and a large fry. Trump is now offering true patriots a $50,000 sign-on bonus to join the most inhumane carceral force since that one stormtrooper who punched little baby Grogu. Then, we have the Temu version of Olivia Benson, Kristi Noem, who took to X to call this a defining moment in our nation's history. But nothing will be more defining of a moment for her than when she killed her family dog for being untrainable. Rest in peace, Cricket. I know you're up there in the sky with Spuds McKenzie and the Taco Bell Chihuahua. By the way, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, it seems like there are pictures here, Jovan. Where are the pictures? Come on over to Red Mirror Media's YouTube page. That's where the pictures are going to be. So come on over there if you want to watch in horizontal. If you're watching in vertical, I'm sorry, you're gonna be missing out, and that's just the way it is, okay? Continuing on with our story, Noam and company are hitting up college campuses and job fairs to recruit kids into what's essentially a jackboot bounty hunting program. The GOP took Biden to court over his student loan forgiveness program, but they're willing to forgive them for you if you turn in your neighbor, his best friend, and everyone else that may look slightly more tan than Kylie Jenner. Obviously, this is a million levels of fucked up. And maybe, we shouldn't recruit kids into the US off-brand version of the Gestapo? Now, President Donald Jim Jamboree Trump held a press conference Thursday, joined by J.D. Vance, Bryson DeChambeau, RFK Jr., Triple H, and others to help announce the restoration of the Presidential Fitness Test and Fitness Award.
Well, I'm delighted to be here with some of the truly great sports legends of all time as we formally announce the newest members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is an important step in our mission to make America healthy again. The order that I'll sign today in a few moments directs the Council to develop strategies to improve America's physical fitness and renew the American spirit, excellence, competitiveness, and sportsmanship. To that end, I'm pleased to announce that we're officially restoring the Presidential Fitness Test and the Presidential Fitness Award, and it's going to be a very big thing.
I mean, this is a great lineup, right? You have Triple H, J.D. Vance, only the best of the best for America's children. Although, a bit concerning is who else Trump decided to bring along for the party.
Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him.
Now, for those of you that don't know, that is ex-NFL linebacker and registered sex offender Lawrence Taylor. Taylor was charged in 2010 with third-degree rape for having sex with a 16-year-old runaway who had been forced into prostitution. 8 months later, Taylor pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges, sexual misconduct and patronizing a prostitute. He did this as part of a plea agreement in order to avoid the felony rape charge he would have received. He was sentenced to 6 years probation and required to register as a sex offender. Trump says there's nobody like him, but in reality, they not like us. I gotta say, for someone who continues to deny that he's a sex offender, he sure does love hanging around sex offenders. And speaking of the Epstein files, just really quickly, chat. I know we're talking here and we're going through all of this, but this is some type of levels of messed up. I'm now thinking that we should watch really quickly one more time how giddy Trump was welcoming up Lawrence Taylor. So can we just one more time to the guys in the booth, can we watch?
Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this.
Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him.
Imagine hiring a sex offender to help you come up with a plan for fitness for children. Anyway, Bloomberg's Jason Leopold broke a story on Friday alleging that the Department of Justice was instructed to redact Trump and friends' names from anywhere they appeared in the Epstein files. Now, it was previously reported already that the FBI was instructed to flag Trump's name, and anyone with half a brain could have figured out redaction was imminent. And if Leopold's reporting is true, then this, okay, is a major we told you so moment for anyone calling Trump a creep decades ago. The Trump administration remains silent. They're terrified. A White House spokesperson told reporters to go talk to the FBI. The FBI said to talk to the DOJ. And the DOJ responded with, "New phone, who dis?" Could this be the straw that finally snaps people out of the Trump cult? I mean, probably not. But damn, wouldn't it be great if the American right had any sense of morality? Now, what are your thoughts so far? Okay, call-in lines will be open soon. So if you want to discuss any of today's topics, feel free to call in. I would love it, okay, if someone could tell me why they support a president who kikis it with sex offenders. I want to know what your thoughts are so far. I really do. So when that call line opens, 914-268-6224, you call in, you tell me, and defend. Please defend the Lawrence Taylor decision. That's all I'm asking you, okay? So anyway, we're going to prioritize debates, but all calls are welcome. So we'll let you know when that opens up, okay? Moving on. Yesterday, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin announced the agency wants to throw out the 2009 endangerment finding. That's the science-based conclusion that greenhouse gases are generally harmful for people. Something most sane people generally agree on, like, always tipping your server or being really nice to the doctor right before he checks your colon. Zeldin proudly called this the largest deregulatory action in the history of America, basically admitting that they're trying to set a record for environmental destruction. The endangerment finding isn't some random paperwork. It's the legal basis for car emission standards, power plant limits, and oil company regulations. Without it, the EPA loses the ability to address these issues and basically becomes a very expensive weather service. This whole thing started because the Supreme Court told the EPA back in 2007, hey, you need to figure out if greenhouse gases are dangerous. And the Obama administration had the EPA do just that. And to no one's surprise, they said, yep, they sure are. They were essentially able to fit the square block into the square hole. The EPA, run under the Trump administration, now claims these regulations cost trillions of dollars, while conveniently ignoring that they also prevent trillions in damage from things like air pollution, floods, and heat waves. Oh, and get this, they're basing part of their argument on a report called A Critical Review of Impacts of Greenhouse Gas Emissions on the U.S. Climate. This report was authored by 5 scientists who specialize in climate change denial, some of whom are widely criticized, like Dr. John Christie, who looks surprisingly like the villain in every Disney Channel original movie. Christie's own colleagues are critical of his climate work. Michael Mann at Penn State University, who is also a climate scientist, said that when it comes to climate change, Christie is often seen downplaying the threat in a way that is not true to the actual scientific evidence. So that's who's making these decisions, not thousands of scientists worldwide, not peer-reviewed research, but 5 people who probably think hurricanes are God's tears and earthquakes are when he eats too much Chipotle. While Zeldin talks about regulatory costs, let's talk about the cost of human lives. According to the IPCC, that's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and their climate change models, removing the protections established by the endangerment finding will lead to sea levels rising, crop failures, water scarcity, and more extreme heat waves. In fact, already, the 12 hottest years ever recorded have all happened since 2009. But I'm sure we have nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. Not a single thing. Nothing comes to mind. Your guess is as good as mine. Totally nothing. Now, climate scientist Scott Zaleska said repealing this finding would be like a driver speeding toward a cliff, taking his foot off the brake and pressing the accelerator. And we'd like to add, while also blindfolded and claiming cliffs don't exist. But who's winning here? Spoiler alert, it's not you. This is a Christmas gift to fossil fuel companies who've been lobbying for years to dump these rules. Oil companies, gas drillers, and dirty power plants get to pollute more freely, while regular people get to breathe in the consequences. Now, here's the thing about science. It doesn't care about your feelings. The evidence that greenhouse gases harm people has only gotten stronger since 2009. Climate impacts are happening, as scientists predicted, just faster and worse. Former EPA official Joseph Goffman said withdrawing the finding is a repudiation of scientific reality, which is a diplomatic way of saying these people are fucking stupid. Look, this isn't just about one regulation. It's about whether the government works for people or for oil company shareholders. By attacking the endangerment finding, they're not just trashing climate policy. They're saying science is optional when it's inconvenient for corporate profits. They're telling American families that oil company stock prices matter more than your kids' futures. Now, there may be some good news. This probably won't survive in court? Question mark. Environmental groups are already sharpening their legal knives and meal prepping months worth of trail mix in kombucha. And I do have to admit that I have no idea what kombucha is, and at this point I'm way too afraid to ask. There is still time, though. The proposal has to go through public comment, which means you can tell the EPA exactly what you think about their plan to pretend pollution isn't real. You can comment on regulations.gov right now. Just type an endangerment finding in the search bar. Not that the government tends to listen to the people when controlled by mustache-twirling capitalists, but it's worth a shot. I do want to tell you again before we move on to the next story, if you are enjoying this on the vertical YouTube on my YouTube page, you can get the full experience over on the Weekly Dumps YouTube page, which is a part of Red Mirror Media. You can also call in to us. The call-in number is on screen. We will open the call-in line soon. We will let you know as soon as they're open. So just use that if you want to call into us, okay? Continuing on with the news. 2 bills currently moving through Congress could strip away basic protections from millions of American workers because, working families don't have enough to worry about these days. House bills 1319 and 1320 passed committee last week, and they could make it ridiculously easy for companies to call workers independent contractors instead of employees. Translation, bye-bye worker protections. Let's break this down. Right now, the government asks basic questions to figure out if you're really an employee. Do you depend on this job for your paycheck? Does the company control your work? And are you doing what the business actually does? If the answer to all of those questions is yes, then congratulations, you're an employee with actual rights. These new bills would toss that protection in the trash, and companies would only need to check 2 boxes to call you a contractor. Instead, they could, 1, not micromanage exactly how you work, just demand results. Or claim you're an entrepreneur with a straight face. And huzzah! No more pesky employee protections. So what disappears when you're magically transformed from employee to contractor? Oh, well, just minimum wage, overtime pay, the right to organize, workers' comp, and unemployment benefits, to name a few. All those inconvenient things that help working people survive. Here's the beautiful part. The entrepreneurship test is so ridiculously broad that it applies to almost anyone. Do you use any judgment at work? You get to be an entrepreneur. Make any decisions? You get to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's an entrepreneur. Now, the language is so vague that if you've ever exercised professional judgment, which is literally anyone who's not a robot, companies can strip away protections. But wait, there's more. Bill 1320 sets up the next phase of this scam. This bill essentially decouples benefits from employment types, taking what's known as portable benefits, which are work-related benefits you receive as part of your employment compensation. The bill states that even if you are receiving those benefits, that fact alone cannot be used to legally argue that you are an employee rather than an independent contractor, basically saying benefits don't count towards employment status. This is incredibly dangerous and sets the stage for companies to designate more people as contractors or freelancers and opt to pay people less. And what is it that they don't tell you about this brave new contractor world? Well, you could be permanently on call for your job while receiving no increase in pay. No employee protections mean no recourse when they pile on impossible demands. You'll be checking emails in the bathroom, writing reports at the dinner table, and working weekends just to keep up. And because you're not an employee anymore, you're a business owner with zero control over your business. Remember when Amazon had people literally pissing in water bottles? Same thing. Think this won't affect you if you don't work? Well, think again. Try calling customer service when every worker is focused on call metrics instead of actually helping you. You'll get transferred through an endless loop of people terrified to spend time solving your problem because it hurts their numbers. Well, okay, so actually that happens now, but I promise it will get much worse. When workers are desperate and disposable, service everywhere gets worse. Look, this sounds overwhelming, but you are not powerless. Here's what actually works. First, talk to people. Share this story with friends and family, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe to push that good old algorithm. Most folks have no idea this is happening. Second, email and call your representative and find out who is funding them. Then, flood those businesses with calls and emails. Hit them where it hurts, their bottom line. Make it clear they'll lose more customers than they'll save in labor costs. Companies understand money. They push for these bills because they think we won't fight back. Prove them wrong. These bills now go to the full House, and if they pass, they need the Senate and President's signature. This isn't just about changing job classifications. This is about turning every worker into a chronically insecure serf with all the stress of running a business but none of the profits. They want you desperate, disposable, and too scared to demand better. The question isn't whether this will hurt workers. It will. The question is whether we'll let them get away with it. And how do you feel about this? So again, call into us. Listen, I want to know how the people at home feel about these news stories, especially these ones. We welcome all calls. The number is there on the screen, okay? You can call in as soon as the lines open. They're so close to opening, guys. I promise you they'll be open so soon. We only have a couple more news stories, okay? So we're going to open those up very soon. Before we do, I want to, again, just reiterate how important it is that you as people here but you as people working in this country, you as people living in this country, you as people doing all of these things, I want you to know that you have power, okay? You have power to affect political change, you have power to demand political change, and you have to use it, okay? The best way to use that right now is to pick up your phone, okay? Dial a number, a really important number, okay? Dial that number of your, I wish there was there's got to be a tool online somewhere that allows you to like instantly do your your senators, your congressmen, like instantly email them. There's got to be a tool. Maybe producer Steve can look that up for me and tell us what tool that would be, because if we had that ability, that would make this a lot easier. So again, the call-in number is there, 914-268-6224. We are hopefully going to be inundated with calls in a little bit. I want to make sure that these things are known. Not just this. We talked about the climate change story. Call your people. Now, for those of you watching who are little baby booby Trump supporters, little baby booby piss baby Trump supporters, why are you supporting this? I don't understand. How can you sit here and support bills that remove rights? Do you guys remember when the Republicans really gave a shit about worker rights? I do. I wasn't alive for this period of time, but I remember when the United States really gave a shit about that. Okay? I was there. Well, I wasn't there. My parents might have been there. I might not know how old my mother is, but I might ask her. But there was a really great time where people really gave a shit about employee rights. And it seems like and this seems like what we always do in America. We hit a plateau where we're like, okay, the capitalists go, okay, we gave them enough rights. Let's reel it back in. Let's take those rights, okay, and just pull them back. I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next story what else is happening in the news. So let's move on to our next top story of the evening. Now I have a riddle for you. Okay? Imagine, if you will, little Tommy. And little Tommy's laying in bed with a fever. And little Tommy doesn't feel well at all. Now, little Tommy's mom comes in and takes his temperature, and it's 101. Wow, little Tommy, you sure are sick. Now imagine, if you will, little Tommy doesn't like this, so instead of going to the doctor or getting bed rest, he throws the thermometer in the trash and goes, now no one can actually tell me I'm sick. Well, this is basically what Trump did when he fired Erica McIntarfer, the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. McIntarfer published the U.S. jobs report for the month of July, showing that the U.S. only added 73,000 jobs, which was much lower than the 109,000 that the administration was predicting. They also revised the numbers from May and June, showing that there were actually 250,000 fewer jobs than they previously thought created. Trump took to social media and claimed the numbers were rigged and that the economy is booming, despite the fact that the actual numbers state otherwise. So what's a president to do? Should he buckle down and work on expanding the domestic labor force? Maybe reinvestigate his tariff policies that have been largely hurting U.S. businesses? Well, if you guessed build a $200 million golden ballroom attached to the White House, well, first I'd ask if you're a wizard, but then I'd say yes, you're absolutely right. The Trump administration announced plans for the ballroom this week, stating the funding would come directly from Trump and a few other large anonymous donors like Mr. Burns and Lex Luthor. Trump has been trying to get this ballroom built for years. He even offered to pay for it himself if Obama had it built under his administration. The former president obviously turned it down. What's even more insane is the official renderings released from the White House directly. This thing looks ridiculous, and I can't believe Donald Trump watched Beauty and the Beast and went, yes, I'll take one of those, please. So yesterday, Republican Senator Josh Hawley basically went full political kamikaze and voted with Democrats to advance a bill that would ban members of Congress from trading stocks. And Trump was not happy about it. He had another one of his patented Truth Social meltdowns, calling Hawley a pawn and a second-tier senator and accusing him of playing into the dirty hands of the Democrats. I swear Trump takes to the internet more than your 50-year-old aunt posting really low-quality Minions wine memes on Facebook. First, some context. Because this issue has been brewing for years. Members of Congress have been making suspiciously good stock trades for decades. We're talking about lawmakers who somehow consistently outperform professional investors and hedge funds. What are the odds, right? The whole thing exploded during COVID when several senators, both Republican and Democrat, dumped massive amounts of stock right after getting classified briefings about how bad the pandemic was going to be. Senator Rich Burr, for example, sold up to $1.7 million in stock after privately warning wealthy donors about the dire effects of COVID, while publicly saying everything was fine. And don't even get me started on Nancy Pelosi's husband's trading record. People on TikTok literally follow his trades because they're so successful. One user called Pelosi the stock market's biggest whale. Her husband bought over $1 million in NVIDIA options right before Congress voted on chip manufacturing subsidies. That position grew by 93%, almost $4 million in gains. Americans overwhelmingly think this is corrupt, and both sides of the political aisle want to see this legislated. So this should be a slam dunk. Like bipartisan, right? This should swish. Well, Hawley finally debuted the Pelosi Act. That stands for Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments Act. Subtle, Josh. To get the bill through committee, Hawley needed Democrat support because his own Republican colleagues opposed it. So he made a deal. He'd include language banning future presidents and vice presidents from trading stocks too. But, and here's the key part, it wouldn't apply to Trump and J.D. Vance since they're already in office. Hawley thought maybe Trump would let him slide if he got an exemption. Wrong. The White House reportedly started pushing back behind the scenes. They didn't want any restrictions on the presidency. Yesterday, the Senate Homeland Security Committee voted 8-7 to advance the bill. Every single Democrat voted yes. Hawley was the only Republican to join them. And here's what kills me about this whole thing. This shouldn't be controversial. Members of Congress getting rich off insider information while working families struggle is corruption. Period. But somehow in 2025, suggesting that maybe lawmakers shouldn't use classified briefings to make stock trades is considered radical. Trump attacking Hawley for this reveals everything about where his priorities really are. It's not about draining the swamp. It's about protecting the ability of people in power to profit off that power. So what do I think about everything today? Well, let's go into what I like to lovingly call Jovan's thoughts, where we're going to talk everything that we've already talked about. Now, we went over a lot here on the dump, and by the way, right now we're going to open up call-in line. So if you are getting ready and you're like, I don't agree with Jovan on this, and I hate that man, I love me some MAGA, I loves me MAGA, I loves it. There's the call-in line, 914-268-6224. We are going to prioritize debates. Call-in screeners are there. Now let's go over some of my thoughts, and we touched on this a little bit. I don't know how MAGA defends Trump anymore. I genuinely don't. I don't understand how they watch him do all of these things that are antithetical to what he claimed he wanted, and we're just going off of it. We're just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, he's going to drain the swamp. How can you drain the swamp if you're refusing to legislate the swamp draining? And then, like, Trump's going, I'm going to drain the swamp, but in order to do that, I'm going to put a stopper on the drain. There's a stopper right over the drain. If my little blonde hairs get in the drain, oh well. It doesn't make any sense, dude. It makes no sense. Between that, how do you defend that? How do you defend him bringing a registered sex offender to help him with a children's program? I'm being quiet right now because I don't think there's a joke good enough to cut the tension for how fucked up that is. Truly, listen, bringing back the presidential fitness test, bringing back the presidential fitness award, okay, fine. I think largely they're ineffective at what they claim to want to do, which is like encourage fitness in the classrooms. I think making it into a test sort of just ups children's anxiety. It doesn't really make fitness fun, which is the thing that we know helps children the most. And if we really want to help children, why not invest in more healthy meal programs, right? Maybe it's better we don't invest in Trump's version of healthy meals, which is, albeit similar to mine, a Big Mac and a large fry, and me personally, he likes I think a Diet Coke. Me personally, I go with a large orange iced tea, no ice, because it already comes out cold. But it just doesn't make sense to like the Republican Party goes through every step, every action they take is completely antithetical to what they claim, and their base eats it up. Listen, I'm not a Democrat. I don't like the Democrats, okay? I think the Democrats are largely ineffective in what they claim they want to do, and at the end of the day, they're just another vanguard of the capitalist class. But at the very least, are they bringing up somebody who's like quite literally a registered sex offender to talk about? And wait, in the booth, can we play that clip? Because one of the things that I didn't talk about in the news story that we probably should have talked about is Lawrence Taylor doesn't even know why he's fucking there. The guy is like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what you want from me, but like, I'll help in whatever way I can. If he doesn't even know why he's here, why are you bringing a registered sex offender to the White House? Play the clip again.
Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him.
He doesn't know why he's there. I don't think there's anything else I have to say, dude. He doesn't know why he's there. I know I'm harping on the Lawrence Taylor thing, but like, I think it's probably the thing that most illustrates. I'm sorry. If you're spending all day claiming I didn't go to Epstein's Island, which, by the way, did anybody see? I need to start just queuing up videos that like I see during the week that I can give to producer Steve so he can like throw them out for me. But did anybody see where Donald Trump literally said, I didn't have the privilege of going to Epstein's Island? He said I didn't have the privilege. Then we know that he had the FBI redact his name from the files. We know that he is most likely going to offer Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon because she's claiming she'll only speak to Congress if she gets full immunity, and she's already contesting in Supreme Court. So, like, to do all that and then bring Lawrence Taylor up is actually insane. So anyway, we're going to get ready for calls. Before we do, we're going to have a quick 5 to 10 minute break. Once we're back, we will go into debate. So if you want to call, there's the call-in line. We'll keep that call-in number up during the break so that you know to call in. So feel free to give us a call. If you've been listening, if you want to debate me, now's the time. I'll debate any subject, but especially if you want to debate about anything we talked about today. All right, I'll see you guys after the break. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are now into the wonderful, fun, amazing, beautiful debate portion of our show, where we're going to debate call-ins on all the topics. But before we do, I do need to say that it was breaking news 2 hours ago. Congress has completely rejected Ghislaine Maxwell's bid for immunity for her testimony. Now, I believe this will lead to a Trump pardon. We'll see what happens, but I just wanted you guys to know that. All right. Let's get going. Our first up on the call-in line, we have Scooter, who's calling to debate climate change, apparently. So let's take a look. Scooter, are you there? Oh, wait 1 second. We'll see if we can't get Scooter on the line. Scooter, you there? 1 second, Scooter. 1 second. Oh, there we go. Scooter, you... Oh, okay. Hi. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Cool. Scooter, you there? Okay, there we go. Hello, Scooter. Good, good. I assume this is your first time calling the show. All right. Yeah, no problem, Scooter. You said you were calling in to talk about climate change. Is that correct? Okay, well, Scooter, let me ask you this question. Do you lean left or do you lean right? Okay, really quickly. Oop, 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 oop. That was me. Really quickly, chat is saying they can't hear Scooter's audio. Just letting my guys in the booth know. And I think I
hear
can
an
see...
echo.
There we go. Scooter, can you hear? Talking to you now, Scooter? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So Scooter, just I missed that a little bit. Can you tell me which side of the political aisle you lean on?
I'm registered independent. I lean right. I think I'm probably going to register as a conservative Republican next time.
Okay, register as a conservative or Republican next time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But before we continue, I just want to ask to the chatters: are we getting an echo on Scooter, or is that just me? I'm getting a pretty
I hear
big
an echo.
You can hear an echo too. That's okay, Scooter.
Yes,
we're call-in studio is a very interesting beast, so we're getting that tackled. Let me Scooter. How do you feel? Okay, how do you feel about the fact that you're registering conservative? Did you vote for Donald Trump in this most recent election?
Okay, well, let me just start by saying the 2016 election, in the primary, I voted for Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz?
That's in the primary. I was against Donald Trump. Then when he went up against Hillary, I voted for Donald Trump. I was going to vote for Ron DeSantis in the primary of the last election, but it didn't get that far in the state of Arizona, so Donald Trump won the Republican nomination, so I voted for Donald Trump the second time. Yes, sir.
Okay. And how do you feel about the fact that Donald Trump just brought a registered sex offender up to the podium at the White House to ask his help in creating programs for children? Ooh. Are you there? Oh, hello, Scooter?
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hi, Scooter. Thank you. Did you
like
hear me?
I said, I wasn't aware of what you just spoke of.
Sure. So earlier this week, I think it was on Wednesday specifically, Donald Trump re-announced the creation of the presidential fitness test. And one of the people that he brought in to help with this is Lawrence Taylor, who is a registered sex offender because he slept with a 16-year-old who was forced into prostitution. He pled guilty to this.
I don't like that.
Okay. Does this...
Just because I'm right-leaning doesn't mean that we can't agree on things. Yeah, no, that's bad. That's very bad. I don't like that.
Okay, cool. Does this seem in line with what people were saying about Trump prior to the election?
Well, as far as the Epstein list and Trump goes, this is the way I see it. I do know that he was on the Lido Express on the airplane. However, he did have his family members on there. To my knowledge, he was never. It was never proven that he went to the island itself. And if he had, my point would be this: if he had any kind of nefarious underage sexual dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, why wouldn't Joe Biden have used that, or Kamala Harris used that in the as fuel to the fire against Donald Trump to keep him from winning the election when the DOJ was underneath the thumb of Joe Biden prior to Donald Trump taking office?
So there's a few reasons, in my opinion, why this didn't happen. One, there are probably a lot of Democrats on the list. Probably. Wouldn't shock me, right? Billionaire perverts come in all shapes and sizes. Two, would Trump's base have believed anything released by the list if it was released under a Biden presidency? I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have believed it. I don't think the MAGA base would have believed a word that was said. So, yeah, could he have released it? Sure. But Trump also headlined his campaign on releasing the Epstein list. He was found multiple times saying that was going to be one of the primary goals when they got in office. And now he's calling the list a hoax. So what changed between him getting into him campaigning and him getting into office? Well, I think it was him realizing how many times his name was said in the list. Hence why this was reported this week that he had the FBI redact his name from the list multiple times. What would be the need to redact your name if you weren't doing anything nefarious?
I understand this. I think that I really was a big fan of, Dan Bongino, right? He's the deputy director of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
He's underneath the direction of Kash Patel. I listen to him a lot. I like him a lot. I think that if Donald Trump had anything to do with what you're saying, he would step down immediately. And that I take that.
Why do you think that?
Because Dan Bongino's a really stand-up guy. He really is. He's an awesome guy. He started his whole career as a New York cop. He was Secret Service for many years under the Obama administration, and I believe in the late Clinton, possibly Clinton administration. He's a stand-up guy. If Donald Trump had anything to do with that, he would immediately remove himself from the administration.
If he doesn't see the need to remove himself while Donald Trump is already a adjudicated rapist, right? He's already been adjudicated for sexual assault.
Wait a minute.
He's been
adjudicated. Wait a minute. Wait. Just back up again. Didn't George Stephanopoulos $1 million for defamation of calling Donald Trump a rapist?
Yes, because technically he's adjudicated. He wasn't found criminally liable. So because they were saying he was criminally liable,
it was a civil case. It wasn't a criminal case. They couldn't prove it criminally.
Well, they couldn't prove it criminally because the statute of limitations was passed. So there was no way to even attempt to prove it criminally.
Yeah, but
what was the
was her
case?
what was her name? Jean Carroll, right?
Eugene Carroll.
Okay, she couldn't. I've talked to a very close friend that had been raped, and she said you remember everything, the smell, everything. She couldn't remember what season of the year it was, what she was wearing. She couldn't remember many things.
Well, hold on a second, because that's not entirely true. She had a decent recollection on most things. What she was wearing, she still had the clothes. She not only remembered what she was wearing, she still had the clothes with samples, DNA sample on the clothes that Donald Trump refused to give sampling for. Now, might just be me, but why would you refuse to give your DNA if somebody's claiming they have DNA that matches yours? Now, because this wasn't a criminal case, he wasn't under any legal obligation to do so, because again, it was not a criminal case. But what can I ask you, Scooter? What was the case on? Like, what specifically was E. Jean Carroll suing Donald Trump for?
I believe it was defamation.
Correct. So she put out a book where she talked about this and said that Trump sexually assaulted her. Specifically, she mentions that he raped her. He then claimed on national TV. He went around on multiple news circuits, radio shows, claiming she was wrong. It didn't happen. She was a liar. She was crazy. And so she sued him for defamation. She said, well, I was telling the truth. And now in a court of law, in a civil court, it has to be determined. In order to determine whether or not her lawsuit is upholding would be, was she lying? And based on all of the evidence provided, including Donald Trump's unwillingness to testify, his unwillingness to give a sample of his DNA, his lawyer absolutely botching pretty much every step of the way. Actually, Legal Eagle on YouTube has a really good breakdown of how his lawyer just completely did everything that lawyers should not do. But in accordance with all of this, the courts found that there was enough reasonable, articulated cause to say that he absolutely did assault her. They did not say he raped her. They said he absolutely did assault her. The judge says that in his mind, without a shadow of a doubt, Trump raped her. Trump, even in court, confused her for his ex-wife. I don't know how you can look at all of this, plus all of the evidence of the settlements that he has done outside of court to like hide sexual assault and rape criminal prosecutions. If you go look at how many times he settled out of court, it's a lot. I don't know how you can look at all of that, plus him saying that he grabs women by the vagina, plus him saying on Howard Stern that he goes into the dressing rooms of pageants that he runs. I don't know how you can look at all that and say that he isn't the same thing. Like, birds of a feather flock together, and it seems like his bird of a feather is with people who are sexual criminals.
That statement it can't hold water, because I mean that's just a saying. How about the New York case with Alan Bragg?
Well, we can get into that another time. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I do have to go to the other calls, so we do have to move on to the next call. We don't have as much time on the dump to debate as we do on like my normal debate show. So feel free though.
Well, we were supposed to debate on climate change, but okay.
Well, you said anything. I asked, and you said anything.
Okay, no, hey, you got me there, and
that's why I win the debates.
Let me ask you this: do you are you all like on a Monday? I'll go ahead and subscribe to you, and we can debate. I like calling you guys
every Sunday evening. Hopefully we're going to be going around 5. Hopefully every Sunday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the dump news / discussion. So you can feel free to call in next Sunday if you'd like to keep this going. We can have you be a repeat caller, Scooter.
Yes, I will be a repeat caller. I love it. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate you.
All right, Scooter, you have a good rest of your day.
You too, sir. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Next on the line, it looks like we have Kristen. Kristen, I don't. We'll see what Kristen is calling in to talk about. Everybody, give it up. Kristen, are you there? Hello, Kristen. Are you on the line?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear
Hi,
me now?
Kristen. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I just have an opinion. You were discussing that Congress is planning on passing this bill that allows them to look at workers as more independent contractors.
Yes,
So
HB
they have
319 and HB 320. Do I have those right, Steve? HB 319 and HB 320? Yeah, HB 319 and HB 320. Yep. 1319, 1320.
Okay. I have intellectual disability. I have a low IQ. So I was wondering, how will that bill possibly affect someone like me or someone who's physically disabled?
Yeah, sure. Do you receive, and feel free to, you don't have to say any of that, but do you receive any sort of like benefits through any type of employer or anything like that?
No, unfortunately, I get it from like the state, my health care, in order to like I have seizures that are stress prone.
Got it.
So I get medication through my state insurance.
So the
And
thing with this bill is this bill probably isn't going to affect any disabled Americans who are currently receiving like state level insurance, only because there's no reclassification job wise from that. You might be affected by the big beautiful bill, especially if you're receiving state level Medicaid. That might affect you. That I would call like as soon as you can, call your insurance. Whoever runs, I know like in Florida, for instance, where I am, Medicaid has like 3 different insurances. So that might affect you in terms of your qualification for Medicaid. They have claimed they're making carve outs for disabled Americans, but I don't know what they haven't said. They've been very broad, not broad. They've been very vague on what those carve outs are going to be.
okay,
Go ahead.
okay, I have another question. I have a question of, you said like as an independent contractor, they can like fire you if they feel like you're not doing the task properly. How do you think that could affect someone like me or any disabled person that's working and just trying to keep their job?
Yeah, so currently the bill has, again, no carve outs for disabilities. So if you're in a right to work, is that what it's called, a right to work state? Yeah, if you're in a right to work state where your boss can just fire you for whatever reason, because of the carve out of this, because you're not an employee, you're not going to be held to a lot of the same standards as like worker protections, in that you need to be protected from being fired for disabilities, gender, race, age, sex, all of those things. Now, there are some protections for contract workers in that vein. You still have protections just under the Civil Rights Act and under, God, I don't remember the other one, the Americans with Disabilities Act. You still have protections under the Americans with Disabilities Act, even as a contractor. So you should be safe in that regard. It would just be about proving, it becomes the next step about how kind of frustrating it is, because in a state where your boss can fire you for anything, it's tough to prove that you were fired because of the disability. So it becomes that really annoying level of burden of proof when somebody, probably knows 9 times out of 10. But you would still be covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act as long as that isn't touched.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, you answered every question. I was just a little nervous when it comes to that. I appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you have a good rest of your stream. I hope your debates are fulfilling, and I hope callers have nice, fulfilling questions. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Kirsten. You have a great rest of your day as well, and thank you for calling in to the dump.
You're welcome. Goodbye now.
Bye-bye. Hopefully, I hope our name doesn't scare away sponsors eventually. I'd love for some left-leaning, like, listen, cards on the table. If Verso or Haymarket Books were like, hey, yo, we wanna sponsor the Weekly Dump. Okay, next up, we got caller Jalen, who's calling in to debate me on the story of Job. Okay, Jalen, you are on the dump. Hello. Nope, he's not on the dump yet. Jalen, are you there? Did you hang? Oh, there we go. Hello, Jalen. So you want to talk about the story of Job?
Yeah. So I mostly agree with you about like your takes on like God being evil, because in my personal opinion, if he created everything, then he also created evil, and like if he allows certain things to happen, and if we're all made in his image and we're capable of evil, then he should also be capable of evil. I only just have like a very tiny minor quibble with like your take on the story of Job.
Okay. Just to remind the audience, Job was God's biggest, greatest A1 Day 1 soldier. Satan showed up and God was like, "Hey, yo, you heard of this boy Job?" And Satan goes, "Well, I'm going to torture Job and he'll no longer fear and respect you." And God was like, "Bet." And Satan did that. And Job was like, "I still support God," after some, sitting on the mountaintop being like, "Why?" And that somewhat proves God is evil. So Jalen, you have a contention with this. Tell me what your contention is.
Okay. So I remember when you and Arden were like streaming together once. I think it was like maybe a month ago or so, and you were talking to this guy about the story of Job and how you said that like he never like cursed God at any point. And at the part that you quoted, it was page 1. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. And all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Yeah. So the story continues after that. The same thing basically happens where Satan's like, okay, well, what if I like cause even more harm? What about then? And then God's like, oh, okay, sure. And then this is what causes Job to basically crash out, what do you call it? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, a justifiable crash out, right? And his friends are basically like, "Hey, Job, what's the matter?" And he starts talking about like he basically has like an existential crisis. He's like, "I've done all this good stuff. I've like prayed, I've done the sacrifices, I've like been a good person, a good dad, a good husband, everything, and all this terrible stuff is happening." And his friends are like, "Well, I don't know, maybe just talk to God or something." But then he keeps going on, and like, if only my anguish could be weighed and all my misery placed on the scales, it would surely outweigh the sand of the seas. No wonder my words have been impetuous. The arrows of the Almighty are in me. My spirit drinks in their poison. God's terrors are marshaled against me. And it just keeps going and going and going. And
sure.
so,
would you, Jalen, you would consider this him cursing God and not just him
well,
lamenting his situation?
a little bit, because it does go on for a bit.
I don't mind being wrong on whether Job cursed God or not. I have no qualms being wrong about that, because it essentially doesn't change the position of the argument still, that Job was still God's like A1 Day 1 glazer, and God was like, "I don't care. You could be my A1 Day 1 glazer, but what have you done for me lately?" And puts us where we are. At the end of the day, I still think if the Christian God is real, he's evil.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, Jalen, thank you so much for calling in. You have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching The Dump and being a part of the show.
Okay, you too. See you.
See you. Always down to debate theism. I have been diving so heavily into theist arguments lately. I don't know why, they've just become very fun for me. Wait till I debate somebody on whether God is real, and I can whip out my my response to the God of Gaps argument that I've been sort of building. Probably isn't unique in the slightest, but still. Anyway, up next we have caller Jeff. Caller Jeff on the line. Let's see what caller Jeff is here to debate about. Caller Jeff, are you there?
Hello.
Hello there. Are you here to debate today?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm doing good, Jeff. How are you on this Sunday evening?
Doing all right.
All right, Jeff, what did you call in to talk to us about today?
I would like to debate abortion today.
To debate abortion? Now that is a That was a big topic to call about on Sunday night. I assume you are a pro-life supporter, Jeff.
Yeah, I am pro-life, although I am leftist. Well, not leftist. I'm like a progressive, but not super far progressive. More like a Bernie Sanders type.
Okay, so a democratic socialist.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so then, Jeff, my question to you is the same question I ask all pro-lifers: is why is abortion bad?
Well, it's bad because you're taking the life of an innocent human being.
Okay, is taking the life of an innocent human being always wrong, or is it sometimes justified?
Um, it could conceive. You could probably come up with a scenario where it would be justified.
Okay, my claim would be that abortion is that scenario where it is now justified to take the life of a human because of the infringement that that life is having on another human.
Okay. I would say that you could not put the infringement on the child or on the unborn because the mother is the one who made the decision to engage in the action which created the situation. So
Okay,
the
so we're going into
unborn
two
didn't make
different
the
types of
situation.
arguments here. So we're trying to make the determination on, is it justifiable to take the life of a fetus in the terms of abortion? And you're saying no because of a causal obligation claim, because the pregnant person engaged in sexual acts, they are now obligated to maintain the life of that fetus. Is that correct?
More specifically, because they chose to engage in sex, knowing that they are not, they have no intention of carrying a child to term. When you have sex with the possibility of getting pregnant, while knowing that you would abort in the case of a pregnancy, that is immoral.
Okay. So I assume you make a caveat for people that experience rape or incest, that they are allowed to have an
I do.
abortion.
I do.
Okay. In the case of abortion, in that sense, is it not still an innocent human life?
It is, but in that situation, you run up against a principle that I feel you would agree with, and that is basically that I would never obligate a human being or an innocent person. You know, I would never obligate an innocent person to sacrifice their rights or life to save the rights or life of another innocent person.
Well, wait. Because you are doing that. That's your whole claim when you talked about the causal obligation, is you are obligating someone to give up their life and or rights to maintain the life and or rights of, to save essentially the life and or rights of another. Because do you agree with me that a person has the right to determine what happens to their resources, what happens to their internal organs? Like, does a human being have a right to their own body?
Yeah, I agree with that, but the thing you're missing, I specifically said innocent, right?
You didn't say
So
innocent in this last thing. You said that
I did,
no
I did,
human, right? I might have
I said
misheard.
the
If I
innocent
misheard, that's
person.
my own fault.
Yeah,
But I was pretty sure you
yeah,
said that no
yeah.
human is responsible to give up their life or rights to save another person.
No, so specifically, again, I'll just say no innocent person. I would never obligate an innocent person to sacrifice life or life to save the right or life of another innocent person.
Okay, so just because the person who had sex is still innocent. They're not a guilty party. So why are they why are they, an innocent person, required to give up their rights to save another innocent person in your worldview?
So I would disagree they're innocent because again, like like earlier I said, when you choose to have sex, knowing that you can get pregnant and knowing that you would abort if you were to get pregnant, that is an immoral act. So I would consider that the fault or the guilt.
Wait. Well, now you have to
Right.
justify it
Now
being
I'm
an
not
immoral
saying
act.
throw them in.
Right? In order to now to say this, you have to now provide the justification of this being an immoral act.
Oh, well, because you're putting a human being in a situation where they're forced to require your resources. You're choosing to take the risk to put a human in a situation where they're forced to require your resources. And then that's basically the
But
thing.
you're
And then
you're
whatever
essentially
happens after
making
that
the
happens,
sex
then
the
that is
immoral
consent.
action. And you're saying if you do this knowing you're going to have an abortion. So what if you don't know you're going to have an abortion? What if that's a decision you make after the fact? Does it now become justified?
No, then it would just become reneging on that,
Well,
right?
well then
So
it's crazy.
you would choose to have the abortion, right? And then you go through it, you get or whatever, and you get to a certain point or whatever point, and you decide you want to, you just can't take it, you pull back. Or that's the same as, betraying someone or just it's just further down the line. It's just
My issue with this line of thinking, Jeff, is we're claiming that what makes the person guilty is the sexual act. That's what makes them a guilty party. So because they had the sexual act,
yeah,
which on its own, I'm assuming you're saying is not immoral, unless it has these caveats that you're adding to it.
yeah. It's not even so much that it's immoral. It's just that it makes you responsible. So you can do what you're going to do, but once the chickens come home to roost, it's your obligation. You have an obligation.
Wait,
So
but
it's basically, it doesn't necessarily, it's not about you being wrong or evil. It's just that you've made a decision that gives you responsibility.
Even if the claim is you become responsible to this being, it's the question is why is it unjustified to use an abortion as a way to correct this irresponsibility, if you want to call it this. What's that's my
because
thing. Go ahead.
Because that goes against the human right to life.
Okay, it goes against the right to life. Is the right to life amongst people? So the right to life that the fetus has, is that a positive or negative right?
What do you mean by that?
So a positive right is a right that's going to entail some sort of duty. So, for example, if I say we all have a right to health care, it would be a positive right because doctors have to physically give you that health care. If I say we have a right that's a negative right, so a negative right imposes no duty by anybody else. So, if I say you have the right to own a gun, all I have to do is not take your gun, and that's upholding your gun. I don't have to actually do anything. So that's why I ask, is the right to life a positive right that entails a duty or a negative right that does not entail a duty?
I would say it's positive.
Okay, so in order for me to respect
because
your right to life, what do I have to give you? Right, because you have a right to life, and I need to respect it. So is every person that's alive obligated or required, do we have to give every single person alive food, water, shelter, healthcare?
No.
Okay, then the right to life can't be positive. So, otherwise, we would be obligated to provide them the things that are necessary to sustain that life.
Well, it's more so that you would have to avoid infringing on my right to life.
The right to life is a negative right.
And
correct. So the right to life is negative. In order to respect your right to life, I have to do nothing. I just have to not.
Well,
I don't have to provide you anything.
Well,
I just have to not harm you.
I disagree with that because it seems like it could be depending on the situation. It could be you have to either be passive or be active.
What
Right.
changes?
So I'm driving the car.
Uh-huh.
Wait. I'm driving the car down the street, right, and I see a pedestrian, and I haven't touched my wheel in the last second and a half, or I haven't adjusted my wheel in the last second and a half, and I'm in a direct collision course with someone else, and I'm going like 50, and they're dead, right? If I hit them.
Yeah, but that's
So
not you.
at that
That's
point,
not you
you
being
would have
duty
to take
bound
the
to
active.
provide something. That would be you not respecting their right to not be hit by a car, right? You're not.
But
You're,
that's
it's
still an
this
active
isn't.
action.
This still
You
isn't
still have
imposing
to
a duty
actively
on you.
avoid me.
No, that's still not imposing
Say
a
that
duty
again?
on you, right? Your duty is to not hit them, right? So it's just to not do anything different than you normally would driving a car, which is.
But in that situation, you would morally require the driver to avoid the pedestrian. No.
Yes, because hitting the pedestrian would be them going against the
Okay, so
pedestrian's
that's what I'm
negative
talking about. It's active.
Well, no, that would be going against their negative right to
No,
life,
that's
which
what I'm
is
talking
not to
about. It's an
be
act
encroached upon.
going against a negative right.
Yeah, because they have a
How
negative
so?
right to not be hit by a car. You hitting them with a car is going against that, like their right to not be hit, right? So hitting them is adding extra steps. Does that make sense?
So, I mean, it doesn't really, but I mean, we can skip past it. What was your point with the positive, negative,
Well,
right?
because so really quick, and then we got to wrap up and move to the next call. The debates are a little shorter in the weekly dump. When we're talking about positive and negative rights, traditionally the right to life is viewed as a negative. All I have to do is not kill you, right? Me killing or harming you is what goes against your negative right. Whereas if I just do nothing, then your right remains. In the terms of pregnancy, the right to life becomes a positive right, which is logically contradicting the fact that the right to life exists as a negative, because the person who is pregnant has to do a duty. They have to provide things. They have to provide nutrients. They have to provide a lot. If a pregnant person just did nothing, right, changed nothing about what they were doing, like for instance, they don't up their diet and they only eat enough nutrients to keep them alive, the fetus in their stomach will die, right? And that's them engaging in the negative. So it's a contradiction to say that this right is positive and negative at the same time. So that was the only thing on that. But I do have to get to the next person, Jeff. If you want to call back on either the weekly show or you want to call back next week to continue the call, you feel free.
So how do I get you? Is it longer form? Your weekly?
The weekly calls are a bit longer than the like my usual live stream is a bit longer than the calls we have on the dump.
Okay, what are the times?
I wish I had a set schedule. I'm pretty sure I'll be live tomorrow at like 10 a.m. I usually go live in the mornings.
All right, nice talking to you.
All right, you too. All right. Next up, we have oh boy. Next up, we have Tim, whose pronouns are cry/baby, apparently. Tim apparently wants to discuss trans women. Don't you, Tim?
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for doing this. I think these kind of discussions are really important. So to get it right into it, I think the reason why that they're not women or men is because the biology is not there, and the biology is the foundation of pretty much all human life. And so we need to follow that biology more so than our mental preferences or our personalities or any other kind of belief systems that are potentially going to change, even if they don't end up changing.
All right, Tim, can you tell me what the necessary condition to be a woman is? What is the thing that all women must possess in order to fit into the category that would be exclusionary to anybody else that does not fit in the category?
Well, I would say that women are the only humans that ever have the possibility of getting pregnant, giving birth, and being able to nurse and that sort of thing. The possibility exists even if something happens where women cannot actually do that. That means something went wrong. There's an abnormality. There is maybe there's an accident or an illness, or you have a hysterectomy or something like that. But the potential is there from the XX chromosomes, whereas anyone who is born with XY chromosomes do not have that potential.
Well, that would be incorrect. We have case studies of women who have XY chromosomes, full XY karyotyping. Unfortunately, we don't have the this producer Steve. Why I want to have the laptop. This right here. So we have case studies of women who are XY karyotype, pure 46 XY karyotyping, who have not only been pregnant but given birth. So this would break your necessary.
I disagree with that. Well, I disagree with that statement. Those are probably individuals that have some kind of, I forgot the term for it, but
they have a pure 46 XY
they're not trans.
It doesn't matter if they're
they
trans.
have the genetic.
Right now,
it probably has like XXY chromosome, not XY.
No, they
chromosome,
have pure 46 XY. There's no XXY. It does right now. It doesn't matter if they're trans or not. The question that I'm proposing to you is, what is the necessary condition required to be a woman? And you've laid out a condition and said that anybody who this is what is required to be a woman. But there are examples of people that are women that don't fit that example, which means this cannot be the necessary condition. So you can, if you'd like to, you can provide a different necessary condition, but the XX chromosome.
I'm sticking with it because I don't believe your information. But to go on it further, there is no condition where your beliefs about yourself give you the ability to suddenly be able to become pregnant. Like, that's not a thing that can happen. You are either born with the ability to do so or not.
That one doesn't actually matter, right? Because your claim, when we're discussing category distinctions, you're saying that woman is an exclusionary category that would include.
I'm not actually saying that it's an exclusionary category in terms of like whether or not you can have children. It's the potential.
No, it's
the potential is there.
You're misunderstanding.
When it comes to
you're misunderstanding
your actual biology.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying, Tim. It's exclusionary because you don't allow trans women in it. So by its nature, it's exclusionary. And there are people that you exclude from that category. Now, in order for any category to be exclusionary, it has to possess a necessary condition. Now, it can have more than one if you want more than one. It can have some that work in conjuncture, or it can have sufficient conditions. When you say the ability to give birth makes you a woman, this would be categorized as a sufficient condition. So what we're saying is, if you can give birth, that's sufficient enough to be a woman. If you have XX chromosomes, that's sufficient enough. But sufficient conditions.
I'm not saying that it.
I'm telling you that's the only way your argument works.
What I'm saying.
Yes, I know, but if you're saying that XX chromosomes are required to give birth, and XX chromosomes being the sole center, right, is what actually makes you a woman. Because it's about the ability of birth, which comes from the XX chromosomes. But there are women who have a pure 46 XY karyotyping that have given birth. Then this breaks your necessary condition, meaning this is not a condition that is necessary with zero exceptions to be the category barrier. And any category that is exclusionary has to have a necessary condition.
The normal healthy XX chromosomes are the ones that create the biology where you have female reproductive organs, which gives you the potential to then be able to get pregnant and give birth. Anything other than that is an abnormality, therefore not the concept.
Necessary conditions can have zero exceptions. That's what makes them necessary. If they have an exception, they're not necessary, they're only sufficient. In order to be exclusionary, it has to have a necessary. So an easy way, let's say that there are two balls.
I disagree with that concept.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
There's
I'm going to prove you
wrong.
There's
exceptions to the rules,
there are no exceptions to necessary conditions. And I'm going to prove you why there are no exceptions. Tim, I'm going to prove to you why there are no exceptions to necessary conditions. Let's say I have two balls. I have a red ball and a blue ball. And in order to be the red ball, it is necessary that you are red. That's that category distinction. In order to be the blue ball, it is necessary that you are blue. Now, I can say we're not what?
I was basically saying that our perceptions of human beings can say that, oh, that person's colorblind. They're not going to know the difference between what is red and
whether
what is
they're
blue.
colorblind or not wouldn't change whether or not the thing is red or blue. Them being colorblind doesn't change that.
That's what I'm saying about XX, people who have XX chromosomes, is just because
you're making an outside claim, I'm making an internal claim. You're making an outside claim, you're making an external claim, I'm making an internal claim. I don't care what the external people see, right? What is external doesn't matter. When we're talking about category distinctions, we're talking about what's internal to the thing in the category. What I see does not matter. Like when we're comparing it, like, oh, well, I'm colorblind, so their balls could be either. That doesn't have any barrier on whether those balls are actually a part of that category. What matters is the internal critique of the balls, which would be red or blue. So if you're claiming that the thing that is necessary to be a woman, and again, in order to have any category that is exclusionary, it has to have a necessary condition. It has to. Otherwise, it's not exclusionary. So in order to have that, you have to find
with the concept that there are women that have XY chromosomes who are who have gotten pregnant and given birth.
This is report of fertility in a woman with a predominantly 46 XY karyotype in a family with multiple disorders of sexual development. We report herein a remarkable family in which the mother of a woman with 46 XY complete gonadal dysgenesis was found to have a 46 XY karyotype in peripheral lymphocytes, mosaicism in cultured skin fibroblasts, and predominantly 46 XY karyotype in the ovary. A 46 XY mother who developed as a normal woman underwent spontaneous puberty, reached menarche, I might have said that wrong, menstruated regularly, experienced 2 unassisted pregnancies, and gave birth to a 46 XY daughter with complete gonadal dysgenesis.
And where's this from?
This is in
and what was their name?
This is in PubMed. Well, it doesn't say what their names is because it's a medical case study, and names are redacted from medical case studies because of HIPAA and like medical privacy.
Yeah. So I don't trust that source.
Well, if you don't trust sources, I don't know what
to.
I don't know.
We're not going to get any ground by. We're not going to get any ground.
Well, no, this is just me presenting you with evidence, and you going, I don't trust the evidence because I have a belief that I refuse to let be moved. This is a medical case study posted in a medical journal that has been peer reviewed, and you're going, I don't believe it because it hurts my fifis.
No, I'm not believing in it because we have reason to believe that people are altering data for political beliefs.
No, we don't.
I'm not political or ideological
prove
beliefs.
Prove that this has been altered.
There's a lot of things on the internet that are not true.
Prove that.
So
prove
like
that.
The case
prove
with that boxer that was claimed to be a woman that had XY chromosomes turned out to be a biological man with a micro penis and just undescended testicles.
You're talking about Aman Khalif.
So
that has never been proven anywhere. You're just bullshitting right now. You're saying nonsense. None of that's been proven true. No, it hasn't.
The reason why that person was not able to compete.
No, it wasn't.
In the boxing tournament.
Incorrect.
Prior to the Olympics.
Incorrect.
They tested for
never happened, Tim. I hate to tell you. Plus, this was I hate to tell you, this was posted through the Endocrine Society in November of 2007. You're telling me back in 2007 there was trans influence in medical studies? 2007? You don't know what you're talking about. You're just pulling shit out of your ass. I hate to break to you.
I'm not pulling shit out of my ass. I'm saying things because I've heard what you were saying, but I also heard other things that say the other thing, and it makes more sense for someone to have undescended testicles and a micro penis than for someone who has
Except they didn't. They had a vagina because they gave birth. But at this point, we're out of time, and Tim refuses to listen to like actual like studies in science. So we're gonna move on. So Tim,
you had one study.
This was a case study of something you claim didn't happen. So I hate to break it to you, Tim. That's how this fucking works. When you claim something doesn't happen, and here's a medical case study of it happening. That means it happens. Anyway, We have another caller calling in. This is our last call of the show. No post show this week. There will be a post show next week, so make sure you go subscribe to our Patreon so you can get access to the post show content. Last week we talked about the Zootopia abortion comic. I think next week me and Steve are going to deep dive into whether or not child YouTubers are ethical, which is going to be a fun post show. Don, hello. You're here to talk about the Book of Job. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I only caught the last part of your stream, and you and someone else were talking about it, so I wanted to get some info on it.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. Don, what's up?
Fantastic. So have you ever read it? Because it's one of my favorite books from the Bible.
I have read most of the Book of Job, yeah.
Okay. So this is something that comes up with a lot of people who haven't really read the Bible, and there's like a fable that's not quite accurate told about the Book of Job, where it's like, oh, you know, it's a lot of misconceptions. Anyway, after Job has all this terrible stuff happen to him, he breaks down and curses God. And God shows up and says, who the heck do you think you are to question me? You know nothing. You're barely like a day old compared to me. And he just goes on for like 3 chapters, absolutely like raging on Job for having the arrogance to question anything about God.
Job sounds like the reasonable one in this scenario.
Well, you know,
God sounds like he's being very unreasonable.
I'm not gonna debate that. I just wanted to clarify that the Bible gives the answer to that very question you're asking of, you know, oh, doesn't the Book of Job prove that God is evil? Well, the Book of Job says you are not qualified to make a moral judgment against God.
Yeah, the Book of Job says that God is able to do anything God wants because he's God. I reject that as reasoning, right? If God is going to parlay rules and those rules equate to some level of morality, then I believe God breaking those rules would be God breaking his own set morality. And so because he did that, God is evil.
Yeah, I would argue the biblical perspective is that good is defined by God. God isn't defined by good. He can do whatever he wants.
I would disagree wholeheartedly. Because if that's the case, why does God allow things
I'm saying,
because it doesn't, it's
I'm
not
saying
just
the
about,
biblical perspective is that.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm saying the biblical perspective is that God can do whatever he wants because he defines good.
Yeah, I would reject the biblical perspective.
Yeah.
Because I would say God as a being is not all good. Therefore, he can't dictate what is all good because him as a being is not all good.
Well, that's a subjective statement.
Sure, it's subjective, but it's backed by.
What is objective good?
I don't think there is objective morality.
What is objective good?
I don't think there's objective morality.
So if there is no objective good, if it is subjective, then you can't say he is or isn't.
Morality under God's purview would also be subjective.
Opinion.
Right. Morality operating under a system of God would also be subjective. God is the subject. And God, who has changed his mind, shows that morality is subjective because some things are moral to him and then some things aren't. Some things that were moral once become immoral later. Therefore, morality is also subjective under a God purview. Otherwise, the same things would be immoral all the time.
You know, he doesn't let us question it. It's very much authoritative, like, do what I say or else is kind of his. Yeah,
that's still subjective. He's the subject. So when we talk about objective and subjective, when I say morality would be an objective thing, it would need to be mind independent. So it exists outside of the mind. Otherwise, it's subjective, which God's mind would be the subject. So it is still a subjective morality. Otherwise, again, why would things be immoral now that weren't immoral hundreds of years ago per God?
Yeah, it's morality is subjective even in the biblical sense, as long as he kind of is the one deciding.
Yeah, so if morality is subjective, then one of two things exist. Either God cannot be all good per his nature And if this is the case, that God's nature is not all good, then I can make the claim at any time I want that God is evil based on actions. Or two, God is not God is not like an ever-present being, and God changes his mind. And in which case, I would just say, why are we beholden to a being that changes his mind all the time? You know?
Well, I have a theory on that. If you're interested and have time.
Oops, sorry. Say that again.
I have a theory on that, on God changing his mind.
Okay.
If you are interested and have time.
What's the theory?
So, I don't know how much you know about like real high-end physics and stuff, but I've got a baseline understanding of the concept. I know, lots of weasel words. That antimatter experiences time in reverse compared to matter. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah, look into it. It's very interesting if you want to find out. And I'm not going to sit here and say that's absolutely true because I don't have a doctorate in that sort of thing. But if it's true, and there's reason to believe it is true, then time itself is something matter experiences subjectively, because antimatter can experience it in the opposite direction, and photons don't experience time at all. From the perspective of a photon, there is no such thing as time. Things just happen immediately, beginning and end. Therefore, if God created matter and time only affects matter, God would have to be outside of time. So what we experience as God changing his mind is weird if he's outside of time.
Yeah, if God is outside of time, it means he sees all things like he sees all things at all times. I'm fine with that. This still wouldn't explain why he changes his mind on what is or is not moral, because part of what the Bible says is God's never changing. God is a constant. And that would include what he believes is right.
Yeah, well, you can't change if you don't experience time. The entire concept doesn't really work to our human brains.
But he changes. He changes what he believes is moral.
From our perspective. Yeah, from our perspective, we see change because we're told, at one time, don't mix fibers in your clothing and don't eat these certain foods. And then another time, it's like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
But if God is never changing, he would never change that. Right? Like if God is saying, hey, murder is wrong, right? At every moment in time, murder would be wrong because he exists outside of time. However, if at any point God says murder is okay, that means God has changed, which is something he shouldn't be able to do as a being that exists outside of time.
Or he gave certain commandments for certain times.
Well, then in which case, why would God permit?
This thing is wrong, and then after that time.
If that's the case, he can't be all good because an all good God wouldn't permit evil actions, right? That's not all good then.
No, because to put it comparable to something we do, we put times when you can sell alcohol, times
we're not
when
God.
You can't.
Right, no, God would operate under different rules, right? God, let me ask you a question, and let me just a very base level question. Under God's purview, is slavery an immoral action?
Ooh. You see, I don't think the Bible ever condones it specifically.
No, the Bible morally permits it. Did we just lose him? Oh, what happened? I heard a disconnect. Don, are you there? Don, hello? Did we run out of credits in the call-in studio? Huh. Well, we're about to get to the fun part. Oh, we disconnected. Okay. We'll get you back, Don. Don't you worry. Stay on the line. We got you. We're about to get into the meat and potatoes. Even though we only have
ready to connect.
3 minutes
Click
left.
Connect to show now. You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
All right, Don, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay, beautiful. Okay, the question I had asked before we were rudely interrupted by probably my own incompetence. Who knows? What again? The Bible morally permits slavery? It considers it morally permissible, and it never at any point in the Bible claims that it isn't. But do you believe that slavery is an action that God finds to be a moral negative action? Like, does God view slavery as immoral?
I don't think he does. At least there's nothing in the Bible that says he does.
All right, then we're going to be at probably an impasse here because I don't see how a God that can permit slavery is an all good God.
Do you think? Well, and I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think morality is subjective, right?
Correct.
And I'm assuming you're atheist, or are you agnostic, or are you
Atheist.
something else?
I do not believe there is a God.
Okay. What makes slavery evil?
I would lay it into some like evolutionary principle about like how we as humans have like a level of want and desires and preferences, and we specifically have preferences when it comes to the dictation of our own bodily autonomy, and it would go against that dictation. So it'd be a level of like intuitive logical reasoning mixed with like an evolutionary intuitive basis. So science, basically.
So evolution, it's good for the species, it's good for humanity as a whole not to have slavery, therefore it's evil.
Yes, it's more like we don't want to be slaves. Like, I don't want to be a slave, so I intuitively assume everybody else doesn't want to be a slave. And because we've evolved to this level of reasoning to believe that, slavery hurts us, we know that will then hurt anybody else that is forced to be a slave. So that's where we get the level of this is wrong from.
Well, you can't do individual wants if you're talking about morality, because people can want all sorts of things, some of which are
we do it
horrific.
like that's why I said it's like an evolutionary, right? Humans have a psychological drive to avoid being slaves. Like our brains are kind of wired against it. That's why when somebody does become a slave, they feel bad.
But we've had slavery for tens of thousands of years. I find it hard to believe that
always felt bad.
We have a drive against slavery if we've had it for so long. There's slavery today.
Having an evolutionary drive against something doesn't tell us that, like, because even the people who were slavers weren't happy when the thing was flipped and they were slaves. We just have some people whose drive to greed is actually, it's not even the drive to greed. It's just a might makes right, because they have the might. They can determine to them what is right, so they do slavery. That doesn't discount the fact that humans have an evolutionary drive to like maintain their own bodily integrity in that way.
Yeah, but might makes right is then the guiding principle of all life, including human life. I would say even today, without might, you can't make any decision.
Might makes right is just saying that if you have enough power, you can violate someone's rights. It doesn't say that it's right to do so. Or, well, let me rephrase. It's claiming that it's right to do so is like logically incoherent, right? So saying that because I have the power to dictate what I do to you, that makes that thing right is it doesn't say anything, because if that's the case, rights don't exist, period.
Well, we can go ahead and stop now. I really appreciate this conversation. It's the second time I've called in, and I absolutely love your show.
Yeah, for sure, Don. Thank you for calling in, and we'll hopefully talk to you again here on The Dump.
All right, I'll take that as an invitation. I'll try and call in on another show.
All right, that was Don, everybody. Actually, funny, the might makes right argument, I think is incoherent, because it just says that rights don't exist at that point. And while I believe rights to be subjective, that doesn't mean that I believe they don't exist. But yeah, that's been our show. Oh, just talk, Steve. Producer Steve's in the box going like this, and I'm sitting here like I'm bad at charades. I don't know what you're saying to me.
Terrible at trades. Anyway, hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Just wanted to hop in and let you know there's not going to be a live show next week, but we are going to debut our episode of Critical Mass with Jovan Bradley. Arden Hart was the guest. It's a really great conversation. You guys are going to really enjoy it. So that'll go live around 5 o'clock next week. And then for the 17th, we're working on a very special.
Whoa. Whoa. That was a crazy amount of echo. We can do that thing on YouTube where you schedule the premiere of a video so that everybody can get together, we can get popcorn, and we can watch the premiere of the podcast.
Yeah, and then
second episode of the podcast.
We could do like a remote poach show after that too, if you want.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, let's do that. So subscribe to the Patreon for that. Jovan and I will be live after Critical Mass with Jovan Bradley featuring Arden Hart.
Specifically to talk about Ryan's toy reviews.
There we go.
Me and Steve in the car started going off on a thing about Ryan's toy reviews, and then we were like, we should save this for the post show.
Yeah. So that's what we'll do. And then the 17th, we're working on a special episode for you. It's going to be pre-taped, but that's going to go live around the same time, 5 o'clock, Sunday the 17th. And then after that, we're going to be back live again here in studio for you guys. So make sure to tune in, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching the show today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribe to the YouTubes. As soon as we get the more people tuning in to the YouTube for Red Mirror Media, that's gonna be where this show lives. So I think starting next show, I won't be going on Twitch anymore. It'll just be YouTube. So Twitch, you need to migrate over to the YouTube to keep watching. Thank you for enjoying the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to Jonathan. Thank you to Steve. I've been Jovan Bradley, and I still don't have an outro. Catch you later, everybody.